Welcome back to the Upside Sports Network. My name is Michael. Winter meetings are off and running already. First headline of the day, Justin Verlander goes to the New York Mets, 2 years, $86 million. About an hour and a half, 2 hours later, we get the news Trea Turner, 11 years, $300 million. Full no trade clause as well. Philadelphia Phillies get their man at shortstop. We told you all off season long, Philadelphia was very likely to sign Trea Turner, and that's exactly what happened here. 11-year deal, lengthy deal, a little bit surprising at the length of it, at the length of the deal itself, but overall about what we expected for Trea Turner. Great deal for both player and club. We'll see if this allowing that money to kind of be spread out over 11 years allows them to go after, say, one of the starting pitchers at the upper end of their budget, say like a Chris Bassett or something like that. But the Phillies are looking like a very strong team, especially considering that Bryce Harper is expected to be back after the All-Star break, maybe into September. But either way, they get a great bat here with Trea Turner, brings a speed element to them that they did not have last year in their run to the World Series. Now, of course, they do have to address their pitching staff. We'll see which way they end up going there. But Trea Turner, first shortstop off the market. This might unclog the dam anyway as far as other options out there. The Cubs are said to be very interested in bringing in at least one shortstop. Xander Bogaerts, Carlos Correa, Dansby Swanson are the top three shortstops remaining on the market. There are more teams interested in shortstops than shortstops available on the market. We may see some shortstop trades as well at the winter meetings. Names that have been mentioned already, Willy Adames from the Milwaukee Brewers. We covered that in the live we did just a few minutes ago with Justin Verlander. But welcome into the Upside. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Appreciate all you guys joining us. And hit that like button. We're just getting started here. Winter meetings, day one. We haven't even gotten until it literally just hit noon right now in the winter meetings in San Diego. So congratulations, Major League Baseball. This looks like a very successful winter meetings for you, bringing a lot of attention back to the game in the positive light, as opposed to what we saw last year with the lockout. So congratulations, Philadelphia. Great job getting your man. Let's kind of break it down for Philadelphia. First and foremost, as I mentioned, Bryce Harper is going to be out until after the All-Star break. We'll see how he rehabs coming back. He may miss a lot more time. We'll end up seeing how he recovers from his surgery. Anytime you see the surgery that he had, you got to take it very cautious with Bryce Harper. I'm sure he's going to try to push the envelope, but you don't want to push him too hard. That's why bringing in Trea Turner is all that more important to them. The reuniting, of course, of Trea Turner and of Bryce Harper on the same team also adds to kind of the chemistry element of the Philadelphia Phillies. Hopefully that'll continue to grow, especially since they've added a lot of pieces from outside teams over the years. Familiarity with players already on the club should help the transition for Trea Turner into Philadelphia. As far as on the field, what does it look like? Trea Turner, as I mentioned, brings a speed element to the game they didn't really have. Brought a bunch of slower, bigger power bats last year in Kyle Schwarber and Nick Castellanos. Now they add a speed and contact type hitter, so good get for them. As far as what does this look like long term for them, 11 years, that's a lengthy deal. Trea Turner is, while I expected him to get a great deal, I was expecting more as far as average annual value, honestly. But maybe he just really wanted to go back to the East Coast, really wanted to go back to Philadelphia and just say, hey, whatever I have to do, just give me that $300 million and we'll kind of figure out the details from there. But the full no trade clause kind of sets the ball in his court from here on forward. So we'll see how it works out in Philadelphia. But I'm really optimistic about what it looks like. Philadelphia answers the signing of Verlander to the Mets with their own signing of Turner to the Phillies. But I got quite a few of you already in the chat anyway. Bryce, welcome back. Daniel, welcome in. So mad right now, starting to get impatient with your Yankees. Well, sorry about your Yankees, buddy. It doesn't look like you're going to get anything as of yet. Hopefully the news about Aaron Judge will drop sometime later on this afternoon. If you're a Yankees fan, you really have to be able to bring in Aaron Judge. If you don't, I'm really curious as to what you're going to do. What's your plans the rest of the way? I imagine you're going to try to bring in a Carlos Correa or some type of star to replace him. But this offseason is Aaron Judge or bust for the Yankees. And then even still, they have to add on onto that core that they currently have. But we'll see how they spend their money this offseason. Daniel, as a Dodgers fan, I'm disappointed, but it was expected. Yes, it most certainly was. I wouldn't say all is lost, though, for the Dodgers. I mean, while Trea Turner, in my opinion, was the best of the shortstops on the market, there are still some other shortstops that you could be out there for. So Xander Bogaerts, Carlos Correa, maybe you get one of those two. I've kind of speculated that all offseason long so far, and we'll see if they nab one of those. They lose Justin Verlander to the Mets. They are holding some of their money aside for next offseason, so kind of don't decry the end of the Dodgers quite yet. If they're able to bring in Shohei Ohtani, they might be able to extend their title window a little bit further. Verlander would have looked great in Toronto blue. I think he would have looked great in pretty much any jersey. I mean, coming in there, rounding out that rotation, I don't think he would have been the number 5 starter, but he would have given them a great 5th starter. Probably slots in there right at the very top of that rotation with Alex Manoah, and just having him in the same division with Garrett Cole, that would have been very interesting between the Blue Jays and Yanks. But that's not the way it ends out or works out anyway. Verlander ends up with the Mets. You're on top of the world. I imagine you're a Philadelphia Phillies fan. I would be too if I were you. Winter meetings are actually pretty lit so far. Okay. Welcome back, James. Yankees first news breaking. Cashman signed through 2026. Ouch. Ouch. I didn't see that news yet anyway. I was trying to make that video real quick, but I did not see that Cashman news. Let me see if I saw that. If they signed him to an extension, if they lose Aaron Judge, I would have thought Cashman would have been gone if they lose Aaron Judge. So I'm not sure why they would sign him to the extension. But yes, it's most definitely huge news, Jose. Welcome back. Now we know what the market is for shortstops. Yes, I think this market is a little bit depressed compared to compared to what we thought it might be going in. We all thought the numbers that we would see for shortstops would be a lot higher. Remember last year, 10 years, $325 million for Corey Seager, money being thrown around as far as starting pitching. Now money's starting to flow for the shortstops, but not nearly at the $33 million average annual value that we were expecting for Trea Turner. 11-year term for Trea Turner is the surprising part of this deal. Phillies get their man because I think they really worked over Trea Turner as to what he was wanting in free agency. I think the market pretty much knew he wanted to go back to the East Coast. There really wasn't another suitor on the East Coast with the budget available at shortstop to be able to bring him in. But they get their man, good number. Maybe the rest of the market for the shortstops will be a little bit better. But with this contract as kind of a comp, I wonder if Correa is going to get the money he's ultimately looking for. I think Bogaerts will still get around that 25 to 28 million, maybe even to the $30 million range. But I think Dansby Swanson's pretty much resigned right now to below that $25 million mark, especially with this contract. Is the deal too long? Yes, but if he puts up good numbers in the next 5 years, it'll be worth it. This is what you have to do to get good players sometimes. Now we just have to trade Hoskins. Well, you're not trading Hoskins. He doesn't have much trade value out there. He's in the final, or he's a good power bat, but he's a first baseman, and not a lot of teams need first baseman. Right now, the only ones off the top of my head, Padres and Giants. But there's other routes that they can go to fill those spots. As far as the length of the deal, I have no problem with the length of it. This is, I think, is their answer to keeping that money down in that contract as far as average annual value, avoiding luxury tax and all that kind of a thing, helping themselves as far as budget in those respects. And I think the length actually helps out the Phillies in the long run, because if they had signed him to, say, something like a 7-year deal, 8-year deal, 9-year deal, around $300 million, that average annual value kicks up and hurts them in the long run as far as being able to bring in other players. I wonder if the reason why it's 11 years, why Philadelphia pushed for that. I would imagine Philadelphia pushed for it along with Trea Turner to be able to get to the $300 million and to be able to bring in other free agents. I think both sides are really happy with this deal. But a great contract overall, full no trade, as I mentioned. As far as what it looks like for the rest of the league, I mean, shortstops are in short supply right now as far as on the free agent market, and there are more teams interested in bringing them in. At the outside of the offseason, there was probably about 6 to 10 teams that were serious about looking for a shortstop, with about 4 really premium options on the market. Now we've already seen the first one come off the board. That leaves 3 high-profile shortstops out there. Braves, of course, would love to have Dansby Swanson back. Dodgers now have an opening there. Red Sox are said to want to bring back Xander Bogaerts, but again, take that with a grain of salt. They haven't really negotiated with him in the better part of a week, while Bogaerts has talked with at least 10 teams since the last time he made contact with the Boston Red Sox. Cubs are heavy for a shortstop. The Giants could use a shortstop. There's a lot of teams out there that have at least checked in on him as well, just to see if there is an opportunity after this contract, the lower AAV. I imagine a lot of those teams out there are not necessarily as deterred as they would have been at the open of free agency. A little bit surprising, again, about the lower AAV and the longer length of the deal, but again, I think it's to get the $300 million total value for Turner, and I think it's about lowering that total AAV by giving him 11 years for the Philadelphia Phillies. So kind of an equal deal. I think neither side really won the deal, but both sides got a lot of the things they were looking for. Turner gets to go back to the East Coast, gets the $300 million he was wanting. Philadelphia gets the shortstop they need, lower AAV that they needed. However, the length is a little bit longer than they probably would have liked. But overall, great deal. Where do you think Correa goes? What kind of deal? Maybe you already answered this question. Well, I've answered it a few times anyway over the past couple of lives, but I think this deal changes the market for Carlos Correa. The only way Correa's market gets better is if Aaron Judge leaves to go to the Giants, because the Giants would still be in the market for a shortstop. That would add the Yankees as a team desperate to make a big addition to their roster, which could drive up the price for Correa. So Correa is absolutely hoping right now that Aaron Judge goes out west to the San Francisco Giants. We'll see if that ends up happening, but Correa's market last year was compressed as he waited and waited for the best offer, and after we heard yesterday anyway that the Cubs' top target now has shifted to Xander Bogaerts, I wonder if they circle back now to Carlos Correa after seeing the lower numbers for Trea Turner and say, hey, you're not going to get that big number you're wanting like we thought you were going to get, so we would still prefer you, but if you're not going to sign here, we'll be happy to go Xander Bogaerts. We could see something like that for the Cubs. Thank you for the comment there, Falcon. Welcome back. Got 31 of you guys in our chat right now. Feel free to say hello. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Would really like to see how high we can get our subscribers up to today. We crossed the 1,050 mark, so we'll see if we can get to that 1,100 mark by the end of the day. A lot of breaking news today. It's only noon out on the West Coast, so we should see another 12 hours worth of news. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We will keep you guys updated every single time there is breaking news. We'll put out a short little video, just like we did before this one, to let you know, hey, something's up. Join our live. You can immediately follow us on Twitter to get those notifications as well in case you don't get them on YouTube. But make sure you follow us and subscribe here on YouTube to get all of those notifications. Whenever your favorite player, your favorite team makes a big addition, we'll be sure to break it for you guys here at the Upside Sports Network. But in case you guys are new to us, we cover the MLB, NBA, NFL, and the NHL. Welcome into every single one of you who's new to us. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe. And as far as the shortstops out there, Xander Bogaerts, I think this helps his market, though, just because it takes the Philadelphia Phillies as one of the potential suitors for him off the board, but it also clarifies the Dodgers' needs, the Giants' needs, the Cubs' needs, takes one of those top targets off of there, and kind of scarcity builds a bigger market. We see that with like oil prices and that kind of thing. Lower supply, higher demand increases the price of oil, etc. Same thing on the shortstop market. I think the lower deal here, the average annual value, doesn't necessarily hurt Xander Bogaerts just because there's still a scarcity of shortstops on the market, and I still think he'll do fantastic. He wasn't expected to get over $30 million a year this year anyway. I think we're probably going to see a deal in the neighborhood of 26 to 29, maybe a high of $30 million for Xander Bogaerts, but he should do very well. I think the Giants, Dodgers, Cubs make the most sense, with the Padres and the Diamondbacks as fallback options if he's unable to get something done. Welcome back, Chicago. But yeah, I'm very curious to see how everything works. Any idea of at all if and who the Twins are looking at in free agency? Is Maeda coming back this year? Maeda, I expect to be back at some point. As far as the Twins, who are they looking at? First and foremost, they're in on Carlos Correa. They want to bring him back. They have a 1-year contract offer on the table, standing offer for him. They have a 6-year offer, an 8-year offer, and a 10-year contract offer. I don't think the signing of Turner affects any of those offers from the Twins. Maybe those 8 and 10-year offers from the Twins are starting to look a lot more palatable to Carlos Correa now than they did beforehand. But if Judge goes back to the Yankees, then I wonder how big Carlos Correa's market is actually going to be. If Judge does go to the Giants and that opens up another suitor for him, then we could see him, get that money that he was ultimately hoping for on the free agent market. But Correa's stuck in limbo right now. I think he's going to have to wait for the Aaron Judge signing to get the max value he was hoping for. But he's got to hope he goes to the Giants in order to get that max value. As far as the Twins' plans outside of Carlos Correa, if they lose Carlos Correa, they're said to be interested in Carlos Rodon. I expect Carlos Rodon to sign sometime in the next 24 hours. The starting pitcher market is moving very, very quickly right now. The market has already adjusted to the Justin Verlander signing. We're seeing a ton of rumors coming out of Minnesota over the past few hours about them being willing to trade Luis Arraez, who beat out Aaron Judge for a batting average title in the American League this year. We'll see where he ends up going, but they're seeking a top-end, ace-level starting pitcher to frontline their rotation, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to get it. Now, trading away Luis Ariz, I think, would be a blow to that club. They could, of course, fill in somebody there, but Luis Ariz, as far as a batting average, just a model of consistency. Think Jose Altuve back before the Astros got good anyway, back in 2016-ish. Altuve was the only good piece on that team. The Twins, of course, still have some other good rotation options. Maley should be back healthy. They should have Sonny Gray, etc. There's some good options there in Minnesota as far as that starting staff, but nobody really is, a clear-cut ace that that another team's going to fear going into a playoff series with them. The hard part for Minnesota is that they didn't make the postseason last year, especially when they added a piece like Carlos Correa. And their debut season with a frontline free agent signing, they don't make the postseason. They fizzle out after the trade deadline, even after acquiring possibly the best eighth inning setup man on the market and one of the top starters on the market in Maley at the deadline. They just couldn't get anything going. I wonder if that hurts their pursuit of Carlos Correa and ultimately makes him decide to go elsewhere because they didn't make the postseason. But thank you guys for joining us. Got 30 of you guys with us. Again, if you're just joining us, hit that subscribe button. We're going to stay live with you guys here for probably another 20 minutes or so, just to make sure there's no other big stories that pop off here. We've already seen two of the top free agents on the board come off the board. Justin Verlander signs this morning, 2 years, $86 million to the Mets. The finalizing of the contract for Clayton Kershaw, 1 year, $15 million with a $5 million option, $20 million total value. And then, of course, this signing, Trea Turner, 11 years, $300 million with a full no trade. So a lot of action already, and it's barely afternoon now on the West Coast where the winter meetings are being held in San Diego. You guys let us know what you think the contract terms are going to be for the next shortstop to sign. What do you think Aaron Judge is going to sign for? Where do you think he's going to go? Let us know in the comments section, and we'll answer any of your questions that you have as well. There's kind of the Twins rumors. They are indeed looking for a shortstop. If they don't bring back Carlos Correa, they're expected to try to dip into the free agent market for a shortstop on the lower end, kind of like the Elvis Andrus type anyway. And not exactly Carlos Correa, obviously, but a solid, proficient shortstop over the years, and would be a nice one-year stopgap option. There are some other shortstops that could be traded for, as we mentioned, Willy Adames. Fernando Tatis Jr. is a dark horse trade candidate out there. Tim Anderson could be on the free agent market within the next year or so. They have some options for shortstop, but maybe they end up with Elvis Andrus at least for a one-year deal. Cubs and Correa do have mutual interest. Yes, they do. I mean, Correa is looking for the best deal he can. Cubs are willing to sign him. They have him as the top option, but they thought they were priced out of the market a couple of days ago. That's why they turned their sights to Xander Bogaerts. After this deal, maybe we see them flirt back with Carlos Correa and say, hey, you want to make a go of this? We see the average annual value a little bit lower than what Trea Turner was expecting on the open market. Maybe Carlos Correa sees this as another sign to not wait this year in free agency and just go ahead and sign the best deal that he can. Remember, he did sign that 3-year, $105 million deal with the Twins last offseason with opt-outs after the first and second year. That's why he is in there. Jays made an offer to Andrew Heaney. Well, they are looking for a number 5, starter anyway. That would be a good option for them. Not exactly great. We've been talking about that for probably the better part of about a month now, Joseph. Well, actually even longer than that, since the trade deadline. We were talking about that because at the trade deadline, the Padres loaded up. They went out and got Juan Soto. They went out there and got Josh Hader. And just to kind of the genesis of this story starts all the way back a year ago when Tatis Jr. was having the arm issues, had to be flexed out to the outfield to kind of repair it. Comes into the offseason, gets in multiple motorcycle accidents. He lost count of how many motorcycles accidents he was in. Fernando Tatis Jr. didn't seek medical treatment after those accidents. Shows up to spring training and has to go on the IL for 3 months because he didn't seek medical treatment for those motorcycle accidents. He was interviewed by MLB Network during spring training, and he said, "Yeah, I really don't know which motorcycle accident it was that caused my injury, but I spoke with the GM and I spoke with Bob Melvin. We've really kind of we're on the same page." And then the general manager AJ Preller praised him, said, "Hey, he's saying all the right things, etc. We're really excited about Fernando Tatis Jr. coming back healthy." Then at the trade deadline, they invest. They're ready to go. They're ready to make a run to the World Series. And then he's popped for PEDs. Just an absolute gut punch to the organization. Usually when a player is popped for PEDs, you see something from the GM like, hey, we stand by our player. We don't think he should have done these things. We're very disappointed in the actions he took, but we still stand by him. We're excited to have him back next year. Go Padres. That wasn't the press conference A.J. Preller had. He had the conference that said, we're sick and tired of seeing these regular knuckleheaded mistakes, essentially, is what he said. That these mistakes are an ongoing issue, that he says the right things and then does another, whether it be the motorcycle accidents, whether it be not taking care of himself in the offseason, whether it be not seeking medical treatment for apparent injuries after a motorcycle accident, just continually having these type of issues. And at the time, you could see the complete disappointment and anger, frankly, from A.J. Preller when he spoke with the media after the announcement for the PED suspension. And so that's why I believe, anyway, and other people around the market see Fernando Tatis Jr. as an outfield option now for the Padres instead of at short. I think you could pry him away and get him out of the San Diego Padres if you cough up premium assets. I don't think they're looking to trade him. I don't think they're actively trying to get him out of there. I don't think they're doing anything like that. But I think if you actually have a real conversation with A.J. Preller, he'll listen. And anytime a player or a GM is willing to listen on a star player like that, you could have some movement. So kind of keep your eyes peeled. We'll see if maybe the Yankees, if they lose Judge, turn to Tatis Jr. as kind of that star power to fill that void of Aaron Judge, even though he doesn't fill it completely, obviously. He'd be somebody the Yankees could turn to and say, hey, look at this shiny object we got for you Yankees fans, even though we lost Aaron Judge. That would be amazing. But not saying it would work out for the best for the Yankees, but I'm saying that would be fascinating for those of us who really enjoy baseball. Yankees will outbid the Giants for Judge. Giants will end up with one of the shortstops. I don't think that's true at all. I think the Giants will absolutely outbid the Yankees for Judge. The only question is, how big of a tie does Judge have for New York? I'm pretty sure the Giants already have the top offer on the table, according to multiple reports right now. The only question is, how serious are the Yankees about keeping Aaron Judge? Are they willing to go as high as the Giants? Are they willing to go even higher if necessary? That's what we're going to find out here in the next 24 hours. So kind of keep your eyes and ears peeled and see if anything happens on that front. Padres and Angels have many superstar players but never get it together. It just proves that there is nothing better than homegrown players through the farm system like the Astros. Well, I mean, you do get them on a cost-controlled contract as well. I mean, it's not necessarily what the Astros have done. It's how they've done it, bringing up young starting pitching, young position players, Alex Bregman, Carlos Correa, Jeremy Pena now taking over for Carlos Correa and saving that money. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you're a subscriber yet, Joseph, or not, but if you haven't already, you can subscribe and check out those videos that we have here on YouTube. Had a short video about explaining a little bit more in detail about how he's a candidate to be traded, but if you're a team in need of a shortstop, there's only 3 good ones left on the market outside of like Elvis Andrus, and Elvis Andrus isn't exactly exciting any fan base, I'll put it that way. So those teams that miss out on a free agent shortstop, say Swanson goes back to Atlanta, say the Dodgers pick up Bogarts and Correa goes to the Giants or back to Minnesota. Then that leaves the Cubs without a shortstop. They would have to make a trade for one. Say Judge goes to the Giants, then maybe we see a trade to New York. There's a lot of possibilities. If the Yankees lose Aaron Judge, all hell's going to break loose because there's no plan in New York right now, I believe, if they lose Aaron Judge. Isn't Royce Lewis the shortstop of the future for the Twins? Why trade for one or even re-sign Correa? Take the Correa money and get a starting pitcher? Well, Correa's the best free agent they've ever signed in their history as an organization. Bringing him back would say a lot to other free agents in the future about their ability to build a good team around a great player. And they are looking to bring in some starting pitching. We mentioned that about the Luis Arraez trade possibilities. But if they don't re-sign Carlos Correa, they're going to go out there and try to bring in Carlos Rodon. I imagine Chris Bassett is on their radar as well. But they're looking at frontline starters more than anything else. And be curious to see who they end up trading for if they have to go that route. But as to the question, Royce Lewis, the shortstop of the future, if Carlos Correa is there, no. I'll put it that way. Let me update our pages here just to see if anything else is happening. Yes, the Yankees have indeed extended the contract of Brian Cashman. Ouch. Cashman's done a great job for the Yankees, but they haven't won a title since '09, and that's been the organizational mandate ever since the Yankees have been in existence, as far as I can remember anyway. And they haven't won since '09. They have a big offseason question with Aaron Judge. Maybe they're thinking Brian Cashman could shepherd them through that era if they don't have Aaron Judge. I mean, they've done a great job bringing in international free agents. There's going to be an international draft at some point, so the rich are not going to be able to get richer through that way over the top of other teams like they have in the past. The Yankees and Dodgers, just because of their name, get a lot more of those international free agents to sign with them rather than, say, like the Pirates or the Marlins or the Reds of the world. And they're not going to be able to benefit from those type of things anymore. So GM Brian Cashman's going to have to adapt and evolve in that way. And if they lose Aaron Judge, I would have fired Brian Cashman on the spot for making this team so reliant on Aaron Judge's production. Because look at that lineup. They got albatrosses of contracts literally all over the place. You got Giancarlo Stanton, Aaron Hicks, Josh Donaldson's in the final year of his deal. But I mean, and then as far as the starting staff, you have Garrett Cole at the very high price number. If you're not a contending team, why do you have a payroll that high? Especially with all the issues they have going on around them. I know they're trying to bring up some young guys and Volpe and Peraza, but there's a lot of questions marks around the Yankees. If they lose Judge and don't sign one of those top free agents out there, they are going to be a bottom 4 team in the AL East. Red Sox are going to be there as well, so we'll see which team ultimately gets the worst spot out there. Thank you for subscribing, Joseph. Appreciate it. Got 30 of you guys with us right now. Don't be afraid. Say hello. Ask us a question. Mark, welcome back. Let's check Twitter just to see if anything else has happened as well. Everybody putting out their information on Turner right now. How it affects their teams. We have officially crossed the $1 billion mark spent this free agency. Welcome in, John. Does Matt Carpenter stay with the Yankees? Possibly. I think he's a great fit back with the St. Louis Cardinals, though. They need a DH type hitter. They need a backup first baseman to give Paul Goldschmidt a day off every now and again. I think he would be perfect going back to St. Louis. He really enjoyed his time there, really wanted to stay with that team, and I think he's a great fit there in St. Louis. As far as could he go back to the Yankees, absolutely. Was fantastic for them in the short amount of games he did play, and they're going to need some hitters if they lose Aaron Judge. So maybe he's an option, but I don't think if they bring back Aaron Judge, they're going to try to bring in a contact hitter, and I don't think Matt Carpenter is going to be in their long-term plans. Not that he's in anybody's long-term plans because he's an older player, but I don't think he's going to be there past a year. I think Matt Carpenter's hoping for a 2, maybe a 3-year deal. If he can get a 2-year deal from the Cardinals, I think he signs it no matter what the money is. I think personally Judge doesn't want to stay in New York after the fan base boos their own players. Many players have admitted they don't like New York for that reason. Well, that's the same for like Philadelphia. I mean, a lot of Philadelphia fans boo their own players as well. Whether it's right or wrong, Chicago fans have done it in the past. A lot of fans boo their own players. Dodgers fans have done it. Rams in the NFL have done that in the past. While it is not necessarily a great thing to keep your star player, I don't think it's going to have any effect on Aaron Judge whether or not he stays or goes. I think it's strictly going to come down to money and where he wants to be. Does he want to go back to San Francisco and play for his favorite team as a kid, or does he want to stay in New York and build for the legacy? Welcome back, VJ. Appreciate it. Do you think Giants get Judge? They would still sign on one of the top shortstops as well. I have to imagine they will need to sell Judge on their ability to win. A lot of people have overstated the ability to win part for the Giants. I think the Giants with Aaron Judge are a playoff team. Now, are they the favorites in the NL? No. But I think if they add another shortstop or add another starting pitcher, they're right up there. They're going to add a first baseman and a third baseman possibly this offseason. Brandon Crawford's going to be shifted around. Maybe Brandon Crawford could even be traded to bring in a piece. But there's a lot of possibilities that could happen if Aaron Judge goes to the Giants. Do I think they'll get him? I still say the Yankees probably 40% likely. I say 38% likely for the Giants anyway. And then the Dodgers get the remaining percentage points. Welcome in, George. Judge carried the Yanks last season. Without him, they would have been near the bottom of the AL East. Absolutely. a lot. He provides a ton of protection in that lineup. Overcomes a lot, or I'll take that back. He glosses over a lot of the flaws of the Yankees roster. I mean, Giancarlo Stanton, all the pressure Aaron Judge gets would be taken completely off of his shoulders and put squarely on Giancarlo Stanton. We've seen how well he produces when that's on his shoulders. By the way, that's not well. Strikeout rate goes through the roof. Home run rate drops through the floor. Walk rate goes through the floor as well. He becomes a very ineffective hitter. They have a lot of bloated contracts on that roster. They're going to have to shift out some salaries one way or another this offseason and sell some prospects in order to do so. But they've got a lot of question marks, and I wonder if Judge sees those question marks and say, hey, I'll go to a cleaner situation with the Giants where still have a lot of flexibility to build. Maybe that's the way Judge thinks. Maybe he wants to go back to New York for the legacy piece of it, but anybody's race right now between those two teams. I mean, I could see it going either way. And as far as the Dodgers being one of the other teams still in the mix, I think because they have shed so much payroll, Andrew Friedman, the GM there, I think likes to hop on opportunities, and we could see an opportunity here for Aaron Judge, the top free agent overall in this winter meetings anyway. And if they get Aaron Judge in that lineup, Mookie Betts moves to second base. Maybe they still add a shortstop, and then they still have money to go after Shohei Ohtani next offseason. But we'll see how things go. You hope Rodon or Senga goes to either the Rangers or the Mets. Well, I think they're going to, one of the two of those two pieces will certainly go to the Rangers or Mets. I'm not sure which one. If I had to bet, I'd say the Rangers probably end up with Rodon as most likely, Senga most likely to the Mets if I had to guess out of those two. But Rodon's market is still quite robust. I'm not sure I'd list the Rangers or Mets as a favorite for him right now, but I'd imagine they're in the top two. I'd say the Senga market right now is very active, but he's going to wait until after Carlos Rodon signs. I imagine he and Chris Bassett will be in that next group of free agent pitchers to sign. But again, he's never pitched in the major leagues. He's being viewed as a 1 or a 2 in a rotation, so we'll see where he ends up going. I think he's probably best as a number 2, maybe even a number 3 in a rotation, depending on where he signs. So say he signs with the Texas Rangers, I think Senga probably slots in as the number 3 behind Martin Perez. Say he goes to the Mets, he slides in as the number 3 behind Verlander. Have you seen any numbers or predictions on what Senga is projected to get in both terms of years and dollars? At the outside of the offseason, I told you guys that it was going to be around 5 years, $75 million. Since then, though, the market for starting pitching has gone through the roof, and he is not part of the posting system, so you're not having to pay that fee to his former team. So his market actually is a lot higher than we expected entering in this offseason. Offers right now are around the 3-year, $72 million range. So that's what, a $23 million average annual value. That's fantastic for Senga. I think it's a little bit rich, though, for a guy who's never thrown a pitch in Major League Baseball and a guy who's 31. I think teams out there that want a proven starting pitcher at that level of money should turn their attention to Carlos Rodon, just because how effective he's been. And even though it might cost you an extra $5 to $7 million annually, I think he is a proven commodity. Whereas Senga, you don't know if he's going to be your number 5 starter or if he could be as good as your number 1. There's just so many question marks. I'm not sure you can invest that level of money and feel comfortable about it. But thank you guys for joining us. We're just crossing the 40-minute mark here of our live. If you have any questions, feel free to send them to us. If you see any headlines out there, let us know. Major League Baseball's winter meetings off to a roaring start right now. And we'll see where the next free agent lands. I imagine it's still probably going to be one of the two of either Rodon or Judge as far as the big free agents that lands next. I think Mitch Haniger could be one of the lower free agents out there that could sign shortly as well. There's been some heavy debate as to where he could go. A lot of teams have been mentioned as far as suitors for him. The Giants, Mariners even, the Angels, the Dodgers, the Boston Red Sox, and of course the Texas Rangers, with the most serious suitors being the Red Sox and Rangers. I think that market could culminate within the next day or two, but hopefully we get a Judge signing tonight, hopefully this afternoon, and that would reset the market. Everybody would get to try to go, wow, what a big contract, and then for about 2 or 3 hours we wouldn't hear a single thing, and then rumors would start back up again. So that's kind of your timeline right now of what I expect to happen here at the winter meetings. We might see a lot of lower level deals coming in. We might see some trade talk start to pick up as well. Now that the starting pitching market is starting to get a little bit thinner. The top 2 options are off the board, Justin Verlander and Jacob deGrom. The only 2 options at the very top of the board are still Carlos Rodon and Senga. Once those are gone, you're left with guys like Bassett and Walker. Whereas the trade market, you have guys like Pablo Lopez, Corbin Burns, Shane Bieber, Brandon Woodruff, players like that. And we could see a very active trade market, especially for starting pitchers. But make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. We've got 27 of you guys in here right now. We'll be live with you guys for about another 5-10 minutes or so. If you guys have questions, feel free to send them to us. If you're new to the Upside, hit that like button. It really does help us out. Thank you guys for subscribing early. I really appreciate it. Rizzo staying maybe helps to keep Judge. It couldn't hurt. They're going to have to build a little bit more of a contending team. Rizzo was a good friend for Judge on that team. Rizzo also filled that leadership role on the team as well, as far as the vocal leader. Thoughts on Bogaerts going to the Red Sox? That's not going to happen. Red Sox, I believe, are out on Xander Bogaerts. Scott Boras and the Red Sox team both were asked about that, being out on Xander Bogaerts. They say, oh, no, we're still in it. The Red Sox are still in. I don't buy it. They haven't talked to him in over a week. 10 teams, 11 teams have talked to Xander Bogaerts' representatives since the Red Sox have had any contact in the past week with him. And that tells me Xander Bogaerts is gone. Saying anything else is strictly semantics at this point, trying to placate to the Boston Red Sox faithful. And they're going to have Trevor Story as their shortstop next season. They're likely going to bring in a second baseman. We'll see who they end up going with. But they're going to have to put a representative team on that in Boston if they're hoping to keep Rafael Devers. He's going to be a free agent next season, I believe. And the Yankees are going to have an opening at third base. Maybe we could see a defection from the Red Sox to the Yankees next season. Just think if Judge re-signs with the Yanks and the next season they bring in Rafael Devers from the Red Sox are going to be in the toilet in the AL East for years if that happens. They just have to get some type of winning, some type of talent on that roster right now. And they're right now in line to win the cellar in the AL East and probably are going to sell some pieces at the deadline. They're said to be interested in bringing back Nate Eovaldi and Strahm. We'll see who they end up retaining. But Eovaldi's got a decent market out there. Number 3 type starters right now are getting a lot of pub. Jameson Taillon was connected heavily to the New York Mets. They've tried to bring him in before the winter meetings began, put kind of a full court press on them, but has since backed off a little bit in their pursuit of Jameson Taillon. They still very much like him, but I imagine if now that they've got Verlander done, if they really want to bring in Taillon, they could. But I think they're going to shift their attention though to Brendan Nimmo. But a lot of names still out there on the free agent market. Keep your eyes and ears peeled. We could see a lot of movement today. We've already seen some big movement already. Phillies getting Turner 11 years, $300 million. We saw Kershaw back to the Dodgers finally become official, 1 year, $15 million with a $5 million signing bonus. And then we saw at the beginning of the day Justin Verlander, 2 years, $86 million to go to the Mets. So overall, very active winter meetings so far. A lot of rumors right now starting to kick up. So make sure you follow us on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. And it would really help us out. At the bottom of your screen, hit that subscribe button. Thank you very much. And thank you guys for liking the video. I really do appreciate it. We're at 35 viewers right now. So for those of you who are just joining us, Trea Turner signs an 11-year, $300 million deal with a full no-trade clause to go to Philadelphia. It had long been expected since basically the trade deadline he was going to go back to the East Coast. Philadelphia really emerged as a strong candidate to sign him right around the end of the season. He and Xander Bogaerts were 1A and 1B. Then, of course, attention really shifted to Trea Turner over the last couple of weeks anyway, as his market became to be more clearly defined. Bogaerts seems to be more willing to go out to the West Coast to the Giants, the Dodgers, the Diamondbacks, the Padres, whoever he can get the highest dollar from. The Phillies, though, get the lower AAV for Trea Turner. A little bit surprising because we expected an AAV around $33 million. That is not the case for what Trea Turner got. $300 million over 11 years is not over $30 million. So a lower AAV for the shortstop market has to have Carlos Correa wondering, is this going to happen to me again where I'm left without a whole lot of money? Slow down, Carlos Correa. Your market's still going to be very good. I just don't think you're going to get the highest, 10 years, $325 million you're hoping for last offseason to match the deal Corey Seager got with the Rangers. But we're going to see a lot of movement over the next week or so with the winter meetings being one of the most active winter meetings over the last 10 years, especially with the World Baseball Classic coming up and condensing the timeline for the offseason. You also have to consider we haven't had a true winter meetings since 2019, and teams are eager to get out there and solve their roster problems. We've already seen some big movement today. We'll see if we get some more later on this afternoon. Thank you guys for joining us. Appreciate you guys joining us for this emergency live. We'll be live with you guys again here shortly whenever any news breaks, but appreciate all the support. Again, if you guys want to drop a comment on any of my videos, I'm more than willing to answer those comments out there. I do see them, and I do see you guys out there posting those comments. I saw your comment, James, out there. yes, this is getting back to the winter meetings we grew up with, and it's a great sight to see. And thank you guys for subscribing. Really appreciate it. Hit that like button if you haven't already and subscribe. Thank you guys very much. We'll see you guys again later on this afternoon.